Hello dear ones, I'm going to be making some oak gall ink today, so I thought I'd share with you the process. These are the oak galls. You get two different kinds. You get this type, which is known as oak apples. Sorry, excuse the state of my hands, got them covered in some black stuff I can't get off. And this is also an oak gall caused by a gall wasp that crawls inside an acorn. So these can be found beneath oak trees at the right time of year when they start to drop them, and you can find them on the ground, so there's no need to go picking anything. And the thing that I'm going to be painting with the oak gall ink is this, which is a little face that I've made out of paper clay, because I want to be making faces for dolls for the upcoming Baba Yaga, well, it's Vasilisa the Brave course that I'm doing, but also would like to do some in-person courses. So I'd like to help people to make their own dolls, and a lot of people make spirit dolls or intuition dolls and they don't have faces, but to me the face is incredibly important. So I wanted to be able to make some oak gall ink to paint this form. I'll just show you some examples of things that I've painted with oak gall ink so you can see what it can be used for. Basically it can be used as watercolour paint. This has obviously got some copper paint on it as well, but you can see you can wash it out like watercolour paint. It can bleed, or you can make more precise lines. Here are some more examples. You know, I've been doing some writing here, so it's possible to draw. It's all a bit dodgy, but I used a glass calligraphy pen for doing that. And this gives you an idea of the sort of colours that you can get. So you can get quite a dark brown, which is very rich. This is all depending on the thickness. This is also oak gall ink. It's got mica paint mixed in with it, which is what's making it shiny. And you can see again, it's the background. I'm using it for the background for all of these pieces in my notebook. And it's the background here, and then that's gold leaf on top, and charcoal around the edges where I've been experimenting. And I've used it to paint here and here on this skull, and it's stayed on really, really well. I mean, this doesn't get rubbed a lot, but if you wanted to seal it, you could put beeswax or something like Renaissance wax on it to seal it. In all honesty, I really don't think this process could be any simpler. We're going to just... So this is a pot that I don't use for cooking. I only ever use it for eco-dyeing. It's actually a jam making pot, so it has a nice lip on it, which is handy when I'm doing eco-dyeing. But literally going to put the oak galls in. Pour in enough water to cover them. And switch on the gas. What we want to happen here is for this to come to the boil and then just be put into a simmer, into a state of long simmer. Okay, so this has been on the stove simmering for about 4 hours. I'm hoping that you can just catch that colour up there. That's the oak gall ink. So I did add an extra little bit of water in at one point, but it was simmering for about 4 hours altogether. So this is where the lip on the saucepan comes in very handy. Okay, so our oak gall ink is ready. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it like watercolour paints on here. And because every time you make it, the strength might be slightly different. You could see I didn't really measure. So I don't know for sure the strength of this particular batch of ink. And I want to put quite a subtle effect on this face. So I'm going to pour it in here with some water and just add a layer just to see how that stains. You might notice I'm working on a board here, just like my notebooks. My boards are really handy because I always have so many different projects going on in the studio, and it means that I can pick up a project and move it. So I find boards really, really useful. Now I've made that quite wet, and this is paper clay. I've never worked with it before, so I don't know if it's going to get soft again. So what I'm going to do is just let that first layer dry. Can you see it's going in the creases? That's quite nice, and darkening the creases of the face. Okay, so I've let this dry, and I've given it a once over with the heat gun just to make sure that it's dry. And I'm going to add a little bit more darkness. I've just realised I've missed a bit here that's not the same level as the others, so I'm just going to touch that up. But then I'm just going to add another layer so we get a bit of deepening of the shadows on the eyelids. I'm going to do the lips as well. If you're wondering why there are lines coming down from the eyes, you may have seen in some of my other posts or pieces me writing about the idea that when we learn to see, when we see things properly, there can be pain and difficulty in that. So these represent the tear scars of one who knows. And that's what, so this is obviously going to be an intuition doll. I think I mentioned that before, for my practicing the kind of pieces that I want to suggest other people make for the Baba Yaga course. So I'm making a doll that kind of represents me, basically. This character as well, I mean, it's not just me, it's I call my spirit guide Magpie. Magpie's actually a man. And Magpie has mad makeup. The first time I saw him I went for the very first shamanic journey I'd ever been on, and I didn't really know what to expect. Everyone was supposed to be going to meet their power animals, and I obviously thought I might meet a butterfly or a bear or a snake, although it wasn't snakes so much though in those days. This was a very, very long time ago. And his quirky little face. I found myself in a woodland that was all silver birch, but on the ground was beech leaves, lovely crisp orangey beech leaves. Just adding more layers here. And I could see ballerinas dancing between the trees, and then army men crawling on the ground. And then all of a sudden, right in front of my face, there popped this face with black and white makeup on, a bit like The Crow from the film The Crow with Brandon Lee. And just this quirky, wacky little smile. Basically, my spirit guide is a trickster, which makes for an interesting life at times. So yeah, we just added a bit more dark. I think we might need a bit along the side of the nose here. And you can let that dry. can see what we've got. I think the drying part of the process is quite important because you can get a bit carried away adding layers, and then it might look different when it's dried. And also because it's the paper clay, I really do not want it to get too soggy. Okay, so now I'm just gonna, I've got some of the ink without water in now, so you can see I can just darken up these shadowy bits. I think I'm going to stop here. It's turning quite yellow on the clay, but I think it still gives a nice impression and some shadows to the face. It's better than just plain white.